Wow, this is so cool. Just as I was starting this podcast, I hear this owl outside my window. He's doing his hoo-hooing. How I understand owl medicine is it's great changes occurring. Because that's what I'm here to talk to you about this week, the week of March 26th to Saturday, April 1st. And then I'm going to just talk about, I've been ruminating about Pluto and Aquarius and all the great changes that are upon us with that. So no surprise, there's the owl mirroring it. Anyway, hello everyone. This is Irlianna Samsara of StarSound Speaks. This is StarSound Astrology, episode 243. So great to have you with us. All right, here we are. Mars has just entered Cancer. Yay! For 7 months, here it is. We are on the threshold of a new Mars transit. Instead of 7 weeks, the normal Mars transit, it has been 7 months of Gemini. So 7 months of arguments, crazy out of bounds travel all over the place. Mars is going to be in its fall in Cancer, as I said in last week's episode. And sometimes that can be a good thing because it's not going to, it doesn't like being in water sign, right? Hot, dry Mars wants to be in the desert, with his helmets and his fire. But putting fire inside water is what's up. Yeah, Mars is going to be in Cancer from Saturday, the 25th until May 20th. So it'll go, take us right through eclipse season. Very interesting eclipse season coming up. And by the way, we have Andrea Michelle coming back, yay, and Erin Reese. She will be back from India very shortly, and outrageous stories that I've been reading on her Substack. And so anyway, yeah, we're going to have some really great, more deep conversations coming. So stay tuned. All right. Mars in Cancer, 7 weeks, right? Just 3 things to mention about this week. Tuesday, the 28th, March 28th, we have Mercury is in argumentative Aries, right? Mercury came out of his la la land when my bank account was found, rediscovered. Anyway, he's in Aries right now, being real perky and bold and assertive, and it's conjoined with Jupiter in Aries. So he'll line up with Jupiter on Tuesday. And so what does that look like? Well, it can be very brave and spirited and standing up for one's truth and sharing ideas. It can also be really great creative problem solving. Mercury is always about solving problems, using the mind to solve problems. And in Aries, it's just that kind of bold thinking and bold problem solving. Combined with Jupiter, you're looking at the gas pedal, right? And an increase of that. And I would say too, luck and abundance and optimism, being very optimistic about these solutions. So that's always a good thing. But with Jupiter in Aries, of course, you have to be careful. The shadow side of this could be, the need to be right and to overexert. With Jupiter in Aries, it's just like that. Anyway, Mercury, conjoining, there could be more, self-right. The thing to avoid is like self-righteous arguments, the need to be right, this feeling of entitlement and, arguing as a result of that. So the good news, though, is by Thursday, at the 30th, Mars is going to make a trine with Saturn in Pisces. So it's in Cancer. It's going to trine Saturn. Saturn's in an overcoming trine. So Saturn has the upper hand in this. So this is like big brother, little brother. Here's Saturn in the soft, oceanic bliss of Pisces. Configuration really speaks to like wisdom and patience and maturity. With Mars in Cancer, there's this propensity for emotionally charged arguments and need to feel, I need to be protected. I need to protect myself. I need to defend myself, my family, my mother, my home, all of that. But Saturn is the wise, the high road here, about wisdom and fortitude and patience and commitment. And so being non-reactive, thinking the long road rather than the short, impulsive rash, Mars, and Cancer, right? So being non-reactive. Cancer is about the home and the kitchen, and I think about making cookies and things. So maybe we should just get into action in the kitchen. We could take our frustration out. Not a knife, please. Thank you. Mars does rule knives, so let's not get crazy with the knives, okay? But Mars and Cancer, the action could be in the kitchens. We could definitely work out our frustrations in that way. Shout out to Rachel in Minneapolis. She suggested to me earlier, you know what, punch the dough. So if you're going to make bread or something, just, you know how you have to punch it to make it rise. So, you in the 70s, people took out pillows and were punching pillows for therapy. Make sure it's not somebody else. Or standing up for people, standing up for women and the rights of women. That would be a very noble, valiant use of this energy. So Saturn this week is going to give us some nice perspective on all that. That's about all I want to say about that. On the same day, Venus is also going to conjoin Uranus. So Uranus is Taurus for the last now almost 5 years. Venus coming along there. Could be interesting, everything that's been happening with the banks and Silicon Valley Bank and all that. Well, Venus rules banking and money and our own finances. So that could be a little freaky, scary, I don't know, some unexpected development, an unexpected windfall. But it can go either way. It can be a windfall, but it also could be a decrease. So hopefully I'm going to err on the side of windfall because the North Node is in Taurus. So I think we're hopefully can lean into the increase part of it. But I would say it definitely speaks to resourcefulness with our money and our finances, being resourceful. Taurus is always that sign of resourcefulness and practicality. So we might find and discover new innovative ways of using our finances and resources and our food, right? The food supply, innovative solutions to various things. And so on a personal psychological level, it could also refer, it could really speak to like breakthroughs with self-esteem, Venus and all with self-esteem. Or unusual artistic talents. So, there's many, the ways in which these things play out are all very multivalent. You could talk for 5 hours, how you could spin it so many ways, but these are just kind of things that we could maybe get some inspiration from. So unusual artistic talents, yeah, go for it, or meeting and connecting and socializing with somebody that's like outside your value system of like who you normally don't. You might find that opportunity more available, at the end of the week as we are in, by the time we get to the 30th, 31st. So, and I think too, always a shout out to Mother Nature, gardening and being in the earth and all that cool Taurus energy. Now it's like in the Northern Hemisphere, we have spring coming up, and it's just, the thaw is coming out in these cold, snowy areas, and the crocuses are coming up. So, I think if wherever we are, if we can just somehow connect with the earth, that will liberate us. It has this capacity to liberate us from like old stuck patterns. So that's what I want to say about that. Okay. On to the next. I've been thinking about Pluto. It's like I'm recording this Thursday, so it's like it just came into the 0 degrees, and I remember it was 8:24 a.m. Eastern time. So I was meditating and thinking about it, and then I like open my eye and I look at the clock. Is it 8:24 yet? Is it 8:24? Like I was going to really feel this huge roller coaster. Well, of course not, because we know Pluto is a slow burn. He's going to be there for 20 years. Most of us will be old. Maybe some of us will be dead. God, but we'll be middle-aged or old. I think the most of us by the time this thing finishes in Aquarius. But it will provide us with some pretty outrageous very transformative experiences. Pluto is the god of the underworld, and it's all about breaking things down and looking at the shadow of things, and in order to evolve and move and grow. So in the sign of Aquarius, that can be that can be pretty stupendous. it's an entire generation of people. Pluto in Capricorn has been around 15 years. So I was thinking about that today. I'm like, wow, 15 years ago. Okay, that's 2008. It's like, what was going on in 2008? YouTube wasn't even invented. Like this platform that I'm speaking to you on is like, it wasn't even invented till 2009. So when Pluto started its journey, it's like, talk about the structure of upending the structures of society. Well, that didn't, Pinterest, YouTube, this didn't exist. Facebook, yes. MySpace, remember that? Do you remember MySpace? Do you know it's still out there? But like, who goes to these things? When was the last time you talked or thought about MySpace? But anyway, it's but it just goes to show you how things move, and in that span of time, how the iPhone was only a year old, like the iPhone 1. Now it's on to what, iPhone 14 or something, iOS 14. Yeah, it's like crazy. Anyway, this is an Earth to air, right? With Capricorn, cardinal Earth. Now it is fixed air in Aquarius. So there's a shift from the material world of Capricorn, the world of solid matter and things of the earth, and material things and material wealth and such, is now this shift into air. It's the world of air is about ideas. Air is about concepts. So air disperses, right? You think of like a dandelion, blow those little seeds on the wind, and they just kind of go everywhere. And so there's this whole, it speaks to this, spread of futuristic ideas, the unusual, the Aquarian ideal, humanitarian collective effort, where it's a we, not a me, right? A humanitarian focus. Certainly what happened after the American Revolution, when it was, last we saw it was, 1778 is when it entered Aquarius, and for the first time. And so we were already into the American Revolution. And then as a result of that, of course, the French Revolution, and then all those revolutions, if you remember your history in South America, Central America, Bolivia, Simon Bolivar, and Toussaint Louverture from Haiti, and, all of these countries was like, dang, I like this idea, off with the king. We're gonna declare ourselves, right? What is we hold these truths to be self-evident, that in the Constitution, Pluto and Aquarius, right, we hold these truths that all men, what happened to women, fault, all right, let's get that one right this time. All people, they should have said, all people are created equal. Anyway, yeah, so the it's this whole idea about Saturn rules, of course, Pluto being in Saturn's domicile, the fixed air domicile. Saturn rules borders, so that you can feel this dispersing. Borders are dispersing and dissolving, just like the 13 American colonies. It started growing, and it became something bigger, and it divided itself from the UK. So there's this breakdown of borders, new ideas, reshaping a country's borders, like who they know themselves to be and who we know ourselves to be, and also just physical borders. In this case, technology, right? Aquarius ruling technology. So the new ideas reshaping the country, like for example, the cotton gin and the steamboat, and the railroad were invented out of Pluto and Aquarius. Fascinating time where these huge paradigm shifts. Interesting, because here's a new idea that took hold, literally, was air. So flight was not the Orville Wright and Wilbur and Orville Wright. It actually happened in 1783. The Montgolfier brothers. Yes, I should get on Jeopardy. No, actually, if you do your homework, you see, the Montgolfier brothers were invented the hot air balloon, and humans literally took to the skies in 1783. So you can imagine how radical that is. Like, you could see people dressed up in, like a Marie Antoinette getup, with their big hair and that silk outfit that probably took up the whole damn basket of that thing. But it was men in the balloon. Anyway, but you get the idea of like how radical that is. What a radical idea. The Montgolfier brothers. and where that led, like where did that go to? And how did that evolve? And how technology just took hold and just transformed the very landscape of our world. And I wonder, like, what might that look like this time, now that we've gone to the moon, and Voyager goes to Mars, Neptune, and all these other places, satellites flying through the universe. Well, I think about Jodie Foster in that movie Contact. If you've ever seen it, I love that movie. It was about 25 years ago, but it was so amazing. So if you've never seen it, just go ahead and rent it. It's phenomenal. But it speaks to, she is this scientist that is so desiring, is all caught up in, so Aquarian, all caught up in technology and the rational mind, and the journey she goes through to discover, where are we from, and there are these signals that she's an astronomer, and these signals that she picks up in Puerto Rico, where they're working in this big CSETI section, and how she has to and she comes to grips with, are we being contacted by somebody or aliens from outer space, and then the whole thing goes on. But it's a really amazing meditation, and what happens to her as she goes to there's this technology that can that was this information that was given, and there's a lot of secrets and things to it. I won't give it away, but you have to wonder about the deep process of going within to discover the truths about ourselves. So it's a great movie that really, I think, speaks to this ingress of Pluto and Aquarius. So anyway, yeah, really beautifully. I mean, I cried when I saw that movie. The first time I cried for like 5 hours, and then I saw it again, I cried for like 3 hours. But I mean, I cried like nonstop. So there was something that really deeply touched me inside. But anyway, yeah, you go tell me what you think. If you love that movie, if you've ever seen it, leave your comment below. I'd like to know. Anyway, the other two things I want to mention is the whole concept of outsiders becoming insiders. When you think about when they stormed when they stormed Versailles in 1789, there was this thing that I didn't even know about. It was called the Women's March. So this is after the Bastille prison in July 14th, 1789. This was in October of that year. The French, the king and the queen, Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI, they were still living in Versailles. And it was not until the women, who were the drummers, the original drummers, the women drummers, and all these women peasants, they were furious, the women in the marketplace, and they were furious around the price of bread, or the fact that there was no bread. So they stormed the Bastille, they stormed Versailles. They started walking there. They left Paris and they walked to Versailles in the outskirts, and demanded, and they raided the place. That was the last time they ever lived in the palace. The whole idea being this, this complete breakdown. And so the outsiders of these peasants, these hungry, literally starving peasants, becoming in charge, right? So that there's no more king or centralized rule. So that Aquarian, what we can look forward to for these next 20 years is this transfer of power, where it's more shared, and it's not this, single king or centralized, running the show. The fringe becomes the mainstream. So the outsider becomes the insider becomes the outsiders. The center cannot hold. It collapses. So there's a whole new paradigm. A whole new paradigm emerges. So, and by the way, when that happened with the Women's March in Versailles, Pluto was not only in Aquarius, but Saturn was also in Pisces. Saturn and Pisces, isn't that amazing? Saturn and Pisces, oh my God, like now. Oh, hello. Oh, here's my little Saturn and Pisces. Oh, here's doll baby. Oh, no, bro, baby. Oh, no. Oh, just a Maribel. Doll baby. Okay, I'm busy. Mommy's busy. Okay, so anyway. All right, baby. So yeah, we are not the center. That was the last thing I wanted to share today, is like, we're not the center. So the Leo is the center. I am the king. Louis XIV was, he would say, l'état c'est moi. King of France. I am the state is me. There was no differentiation. And he also said, après moi le déluge, after me the deluge. That's his way of saying SHF, after me, SHF people. And he was right. That's what happened. But honestly, we're not the center, part of something bigger. That's the other big paradigm shift. It's not just technology. And think about like Nicholas Copernicus, and he in 1543, which was previous cycle of Pluto and Aquarius, was in the early 16th century, he released a paper called Revolutions of the Celestial Spheres. And he said, hey guys, the sun doesn't revolve around us, it's the other way around. And of course, this was not, people were not amused. And, when we get our apple cart upset, and it can be, what is that word? Cognitive dissonance. Sometimes it's like, it's so startling, like the truth is so startling that there's like this disconnect in the brain, like we can't process that, or we don't want to, so we just kind of pretend it's not there. So it was not exactly greeted very warmly, but that's just how it is. But this whole thing about Pluto's a god of the underworld. So there's this hidden underworld, there's a hidden underbelly, or there's just hidden worlds of and then when you think about Aquarius, like the future self, the parts of ourselves that are hidden from us. I think about too, like Uranus was discovered during Pluto and Aquarius. Uranus, which is the modern ruler, modern astrology, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Well, and it was the first, and so the borders, talk about dissolving borders, for thousands of years, all the ancients only knew planets up to Saturn, and Saturn was the last one on the train, the last one on there. Oh my goodness, you just want to be perfect. Oh, I'm trying to talk, baby. Okay. Love you. But anyway, oh, hey. All right, not on the podcast. Oh, God. Uranus, during Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus was discovered, and it was the first planet that you could only see with you could not see with the naked eye. Saturn is the last planet you can see with the naked eye. Uranus was the first planet that was discovered where you was using a telescope. So pretty fascinating. So again, the whole presence and about technology. So anyway, that's about all I wanted to say. I hope you've enjoyed this content. Remember, please like, share, subscribe if you like it. I want to know what you're doing and how you're doing. We're all in this together. So and of course, StarSoundAstrology.com is my website. And I am happy to do sessions for you. Now we have eclipse season upon us before we know it. So my April astrology report's coming up, and Andrea will be taking us through the eclipse season with solar and lunar eclipses. So yay. So much love to you, and we'll see you next time. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Namaste.